Oh man. So sometimes you say a thing, you know. Sometimes you say a thing and you say to yourself, I mean, I think that my logic is sound, you know. I'm pretty sure that my logic is relatively sound. You know, I look at a thing. I usually am very good at predicting what someone's going to do because I could just put myself in their position and go, what would I do? And when it comes to strategy in the fight business, I would consider myself a relatively strong uh, Machiavellian strategist, you know? So I can look at these situations and go, okay, if I'm Dana Hunter White, what would I do? What would I do? And if the card that my adversary is playing is a card I can steal from them and do for myself, I'm fixing to do exactly that. And so these guys, like I said, the second that I saw Tyson Fury start barking at Jon Jones, I was like, they're talking to UFC. They're going to set this fight up. And they're going to do it in the UFC. And I knew it. I knew it for a multitude of reasons, but now it's a go. They are setting this fight up, and Dana just made a statement where you look at it and you go, wow. You know, because he said, well, I'll show you in a second, actually. Let people get on, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, this is going to be a quick live stream because I'm doing my next episode of The Big Hoax with the Osundairo brothers in a second. If anybody who's not following that channel, dude, we do like an hour to an hour and a half episode. Me and the Osundairo brothers. Bola Osundairo is the WBC Continental African World Champion in boxing, and you're going to hear a lot more about him coming up here, dude. He is going to be a big star. So why don't you guys go and follow that channel? It's on the Osundairo. Just actually the easiest way to find it, search The Big Hoax Jesse on Fire, and you'll find it. And also subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, and we'll rock. So check. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about because this statement right here this is all you need. I told you 2 days ago. I put the video up. I said, UFC 300, watch UFC 300 beat Tyson Fury against Jon Jones. I called that, dude. And then as soon as I said it, boom, 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 boom. So here's what Dana said, and let's translate this thing, right? So Dana says, we could talk, Tyson can talk, Jon Jones can talk, I can talk, we can all talk. Let's do it. If Tyson is serious and he wants to do it, listen, I got Floyd Mayweather to fight Conor McGregor, and we paid Floyd. We got Floyd the number that he wanted. If Tyson Fury is serious and he wants to fight Jon Jones in the UFC, let's start talking. So for clarity, right? For clarity, when he says, he just said, we got Floyd paid. How much money did Floyd Mayweather make on that fight? What's the rumored number on what Floyd Mayweather? What did Floyd Mayweather make for the McGregor fight? Okay. Floyd Mayweather made there's no way this is true. But just so we're, how Floyd Mayweather made $500 million by beating Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. Oh, okay. Between the two. So bottom line, Dana is talking about a 9-figure payout for Tyson Fury to come into the octagon. Okay. And he made that crystal clear in his statement. Crystal clear. He doesn't have to talk numbers. He said, we got Floyd the number that he wanted. And everybody knows Floyd did 9 figures. Yeah, of course, before taxes. He did 9 figures. Okay. Now, Jesse, how did you know, just in case anybody's got a short memory. Oh, by the way, really quick, let me show you guys. Actually, let me just show you. Let me show you guys something real quick. Okay, so let's go to my channel and let's just do this real quick. Boom, and then let's do this. Doopity doop doop. So you guys may remember my channel, right? And you guys may remember that I did this video 2 days ago. UFC 300, Dana White, Tyson Fury versus Jon Jones, UFC 300. And if you watch that, I laid out exactly why I knew they were going to do this. But also what I wanted to show you is this. Look at that. Jesse on Fire and MMA Guru is happening on Friday. So go there and stick a notification. I literally just put that up. So if you guys want to watch that stream, go to my page and stick a notify me on it because we're going to be doing that on Friday. But yeah, so here's the deal. If let me just say this right out of the gate. If people think that they're like, people are saying, oh, there's no way Tyson Fury is going to fight in the UFC. You are out of your mind. Out of your mind. You are out of your mind if you believe that. Out of your mind. Okay. Tyson Fury is not like other boxers. He's not like any other boxer that you have ever seen in the history of that sport. He is not like them. Okay? He's not like that. He's a gypsy. Okay? He's a gypsy. Real talk. Like, I don't think people understand what that actually means. If that, like, this, where it's like, oh no, he's not going to take that risk. He's not going to yada, yada, yada. But dude, wrong. If the money is right, he will do that fight. Okay. There's no scenario where the reason why Tyson Fury wouldn't take a fight is because he thinks he has no chance in a fight in the cage. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. I will guarantee you that the reason, if the reason people are saying, oh, Tyson Fury won't do it is because they're like, well, he knows he's going to get smashed by Jon Jones. Bullshit. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that he would win, but if you think that he's going to be kept out of the octagon because he's afraid of Jon Jones in a cage fight, you are smoking crack. There is no possible way. None. So you guys are tripping, dude. Now, if you said like there's no way Anthony Joshua ever fights in an MMA fight, 100% agree. 1,000%. No chance. Zero. No chance at all. Deontay Wilder might. Deontay Wilder White. Tyson Fury, he would. I'm just going to say that. He would. He would do it. All you have to say is like, look, man, you don't want to do that kind of fight because you don't really have a chance of winning. Okay. He's a gypsy, dude. He's a 6'9" gypsy who's never lost a fight in his entire life. You understand? Like, he's never lost a fight in his entire life. Now, anyway, so yeah, okay, so that's actually an excellent question in terms of his weight. I'm like, because I wanted to look this out. Like, if they did a Tyson Fury, if they did that, what is his weight? He weighs 269, so it's not a problem. He weighs 269 right now. So here's the deal. Okay, here's how I knew they were going to do this. So, like I said in my other video, Francis signs a mega deal. Now, bottom line, I don't have I'm not capable of saying things that I don't believe. I just can't do it. I'm not a person who can like think something and then like say something else. I can't do it. So I will say that Francis signed the best possible deal that Francis could have gotten by a mile. His management team crushed it. Markel killed it. Francis Ngannou killed it. He has guaranteed money with the least amount of risk and the most amount of flexibility. Bottom line, like he got every single thing that he wanted. He wanted freedom to try to box. He wanted max out money. He got max out money. He wanted to try to open up, MMA in Africa, so on, so forth, etc. The bottom line is his team as individual team did the best thing they possibly could. Now, as an experiment, now PFL on the other hand, or their ability to blow up a huge fight is going to be extraordinarily challenging. And the reason for that is because there's no way for them to do this deal without the UFC being a direct 100% adversary here. Okay. You are talking David versus Goliath 100%. And there's only a handful of options for how these guys could put together a megalomaniac deal in terms of like, Francis has gotten his money. Now, obviously, he would prefer to do a boxing match, make another $50 million against Tyson Fury or whatever, but he's got his money. So there is no bad outcome for Francis here. But the pie in the sky outcome for Francis, which is the actual threat to the UFC, like the UFC doesn't care if Francis Ngannou makes $20 million. Like people are saying like, oh, they're doing this just to spite Francis. Wrong. That's wrong. It's not to spite Francis. Okay. They are absolutely doing it to block Francis's ability to promote and put on an enormous fight, but they're not doing it to spite Francis. This is business strategy. It is absolutely crystal clear business strategy and brilliant, utterly brilliant business strategy. Because if Francis and his team, right, who already won, they already won, dude. They already won. They have, $20 million guaranteed. There's no, it's all guaranteed. They get $20 million no matter what. But if they are able to put on an enormous boxing match, then UFC is in a much, much different position than if UFC is able to ensure that they can't do that. Because if the UFC, like this whole situation, right? This whole entire thing with Francis can actually serve as the most beneficial thing that has possibly happened for the UFC in recent time. Because if they are able to demonstrate that you cannot succeed outside of UFC, that is locked down permanently. Okay. That's locked down permanently because people are watching. They're going to be like, okay, yeah, you got this mega deal. So how is this going to play out? Because bottom line is if the PFL can't put on a successful event where they make more money than they spent, they're never doing it again. They're never going to pay another guy $8 million, whatever. And I'll tell you exactly, because I talked about this morning, I'll tell you exactly the situation that PFL is in terms of how they're going to have to develop their league. They made a statement today that they're going to be bigger than the UFC, and it's not like that's impossible, but their road to doing that is very long. It's like, how dug in are you? All right. Because from a business strategy perspective, I can tell you exactly how this is going to go, and I'll tell you exactly who's going to benefit. Okay. Because there is a group of fighters that is going to benefit immensely from the PFL trying to take a run at the UFC. And it's not just whoever gets to fight Francis and Francis. That's not what it is. Okay. There's a large group of fighters that are going to benefit and have their purses increase dramatically. But in terms of the short term, the number one thing to play defense against is Francis getting a huge fight in either boxing or in PFL. They need them not to succeed so that the appearance is that you can't succeed outside of UFC. And so people won't be looking outside of UFC anymore. They don't have to worry about people trying to fight their contracts out and go become free agents. And so that is absolutely business number one. Now, Francis and Tyson Fury were in the ring, yapping. They were trying to set up the fight. Like I've said a million times, Francis lost sight of who was actually driving that, left management. He's now put his management back in place. But in that gap, right, Tyson Fury is off doing other things. And as soon as he's broken off from them, clearly, like these things have a momentum to him. And Dana knows that if he can go capture Tyson Fury and take that away, that is like in this war, right? There are a handful of battles. There's not that many, dude. Okay. In terms of boxing, you got a battle for Tyson Fury, which is the number one battle. And if you lock up Tyson Fury, okay, and if you think that they can't put in his contract that he is not allowed to fight Francis Ngannou, you crazy. They could just put that in there. Like there's no restrictions on anything else that you do except you can't fight Francis Ngannou and you can't fight in PFL, right? They can put whatever they want in a contract. If they can lock down Tyson Fury, that is an enormous, that's a D-Day victory. That's a D-Day victory if they can do that, which is why the second that Tyson Fury was barking, I knew they were behind it. I absolutely knew that they were behind it, right? And wait, I don't like Francis? Okay, what are you new to this channel? I love Francis. I also just can't talk about the fight business and not say what's what. So if they get Tyson Fury, which it looks like they are absolutely in conversations for, because if you think that this is just like some kind of like coincidence, like if you believe this is coincidence, you are ignorant. Okay. We can talk all we want. Tyson can talk. Jon Jones can talk. I can talk. We can all talk. Let's do it. If Tyson is serious and he wants to do it, listen, I got Floyd Mayweather fight Conor McGregor, and we paid Floyd. We got Floyd the number he wanted. If Tyson Fury is serious and he wants to fight Jon Jones in the UFC, let's start talking. Now, if you believe that the way that this actually happened was Tyson Fury just went out and started talking, and then Dana was like, hey, man, if you want to fight, let's start talking. If you really believe that, you are not like me, dude. You not like me. Okay. Do I know for 100% sure? Of course not. What I do know for 100% sure is that when Tyson Fury was barking about Francis, that was not random. Okay. So unless this played out very differently, and then it's like, this is happening behind the scenes. This is how you build momentum for fights. Okay. You don't just like announce it, right? You build momentum publicly. Tyson Fury says, wait, Joe Rogan said that I couldn't, if I walk into a room with Jon Jones, he's the one walking out. Fuck Joe Rogan, son. Fuck Joe Rogan. And Dana's like, oh, I don't know. And John's like, fuck you, Tyson Fury. And it's like, whoa. What if they fought in the cage? What if that happened? And then Dana comes out. He's like, hey, man, if this is serious, like if you think this is just like happening randomly, come on. So I knew it. I knew that's what they were going to do. Okay. Now, here is the hang on. What the okay, anyway, so so in terms of the PFL, I wanted to make sure that I get this in, and don't forget. So the PFL says they're going to be bigger than UFC. That's not impossible. If they really are getting $280 million, they're going to acquire Bellator and move forward. They're a real player. They're going to have to be able to sell pay-per-views, but here are the components that need to fall into place for them to be able to do that. And there's no shortcuts here. Okay. Like there's just not going to be any shortcuts here. They need to be able to sell pay-per-views. Here is your problem. UFC has an event every single weekend. Okay. Like you're competing with UFC every weekend. If the UFC has a pay-per-view on, it's probably going to be a pretty good one because most of their pay-per-views are very good. Right. Now, I would imagine they're not going to go up against them directly. They're going to be going up against, some other weekend. But like at the end of the day, people only have so much money, and the ability for people to steal fights, that really jams you up. As a new organization, it's like human behavior is very predictable. Okay. People pay for the UFC because they don't want to have any. Listen, I pay for UFC because I have principles. I pay for every single fight. Okay. But people steal fights when they're not super concerned. Like, what if the fight got choppy? Like, what if the link didn't work? What if we lost our stream, right? If the fight is something you absolutely have to see, you're paying for it. If you're broke, then you steal it, whatever. But if it's a fight that you need to see, you pay for it, or you pool your money with someone and you pay for it because you're not going to take the risk of not being able to watch it, right? And so these new organizations that are putting on pay-per-views where you're not used to paying for them and you don't really know what it's going to be like. And they're and these organizations, they always go all in on like one event. Like they do one event, they're all, please, this thing has to be profitable or else we're not going to blah, blah. That shit's not going to work. Okay. The go all in on one thing, that shit's not going to work. I see watching it at a bar. I agree with that. But the bar has to pay way more. They don't just like get it once. Like bars have to pay much more. Like it's a long story, but that's what it is. But anyway, so the UFC is going, like, you're used to knowing that they're going to be solid events. If it's it's PFL, you've never seen a PFL event that you paid for. You don't really know what it's going to be like. The first few of them, you're going to have to lose money, okay? Unless you get some astronomically barn burner blockbuster opponent, which they are probably going to have a hard time doing out of the gate, right? And, maybe if Stipe, I don't know what Stipe's contract looks like, but if Stipe could get out of his contract, maybe they did that. People would probably buy that. But it's just like, if like the UFC did not have all these fighters locked up under contract, that changes the landscape completely. Okay. If they have $280 million and they have the ability to pay guys more, Of course they'd be able to pick off tons of guys, and they could absolutely compete with the UFC. But the UFC has ironclad contracts with all of the guys that they already have. And here's the other thing about that is when you first look at that, you're like, oh man, that's kind of messed up, dude. Like the UFC has everybody locked up when they could test the free market and go get much more money, except that they're locked up under contract. It's like, that's true. But at the same time, you wouldn't know who they were if it wasn't for the UFC. The entirety of their brand is due to the UFC building it for them. So there is obviously a pretty strong argument for UFC to be like, what, we're just going to give guys like 2-fight contracts, blow them up, and then go let them fight in some other organization or have some other organization drive the price up on us? Like, and I mean, I'm not saying UFC is doing everything on the up and up. Like they're going to try to pay you the minimum amount, whatever. But here is how PFL is going to have to build, and it's going to be a long process. The people who are going to start making much more money are really hot prospects that are coming up and about to go to UFC or potentially PFL. As an example, everybody knows that Paddy Pimblett, I don't know the exact numbers, but the rumor was that Paddy Pimblett's original contract with UFC was 20-20. Okay. 20-20 for Paddy Pimblett, right? Because that's the normal introductory contract that a guy gets. The UFC, we don't really know what's going to happen in the UFC. It's the standard, you win a couple, you look real good, we'll pay you much more. And everybody ends up signing that because where else are you going to go? Okay, well, the answer now is if PFL has $280 million to play with and a guy like Paddy Pimblett's coming in, they're like, okay, yeah, UFC's offering 20-20. I mean, obviously, we would love to go up through the UFC ranks because we have a much higher ceiling. And PFL's like, how about we'll pay him 120, 120? And you're like, wait, what? And they're all, yeah, we'll do a $120, $120. They're like, oh shit. Let me do the math on that. That is 6 times as much. Yeah, that looks good. And then what'll probably end up happening is the UFC is smart enough to know that a guy like Paddy Pimblett is worth that. And they'll go, we'll match it. We'll match it. PFL's like, they matched it. All right, 150, 150. We'll match it. Right? Now that should piss you off if you are one of these guys, knowing, because what they're going to do is they're actually going to demonstrate the true value of some of these guys. And then you get to think back about what other guys got paid, and you realize how good of a deal the UFC is getting and how bad of a deal they are getting. But it was straight up because there's no other option for them. If there's no other option, then it is what it is. But it's like if Paddy Pimblett is worth 175 out of the gate, which he's a unique situation, but he probably would have been worth that, right? If he's worth 170, then he was worth 175, and he got paid 20-20. You know what I mean? So the people who are going to benefit are going to be really hot prospects, because the only way PFL is going to be able to successfully do this is they're going to have to build from the ground up, right? They're going to have to pay certain guys a lot to get them over to PFL, like Francis, whatever, to get eyeballs on it to begin with. And they're going to have to very creatively market. They're going to have to put shows on specifically to PFL. They're going to have guys like develop specific content that is unique to PFL with unique personalities that people follow anyway. This is literally just right off the top of my head, but it's like, you got me and Guru doing a stream on Friday. And if they're like, well, these guys' fans are going to watch anything that these two guys did. So why don't, and like when we do a show that's all about PFL with these two guys, or with Chael and, whoever, and it's like, and they'll pay them a lot of dough to do a show. And then they learn who all these guys are through the show, because there are a lot of fighters who are very interesting. I'll give you an example. So I talked to Alan Belcher yesterday and today. So Alan Belcher is the current BKFC heavyweight world champion, right? So like, when Ben Rothwell won on the Luke Rockhold and Mike Perry card, and he's like, I want to fight for the heavyweight title. I want to fight for the heavyweight. He even said Alan Belcher, and I had not connected the fact that it's fucking Alan Belcher from the UFC, who was a top tier guy for years and years and years, and then he left the UFC, and recently I looked at his record, bro. He's got 9 straight wins with 8 straight knockouts. Like, 9 straight wins with 8 straight knockouts. Like, if the world knows that, right? Like if there's a way to get the message out on people like that, it's like, Jesus Christ, 8 straight knockouts. Then they go look at their shit and they watch him just starching guys. Then they're like, oh man, I actually really want to see this guy. So like the vehicle is going to have to be personalities that people want to watch either way, and then stories that they can make compelling, which will get eyeballs on it originally. They're going to lose money on the first few events because it's just inevitable. People are going to steal it. You're going to have to create a product that is sticky, that people are like, all right, I want to make sure that I don't miss any of this. And then they will start paying. And also you're going to have to develop talent from the ground up. There's no two ways about it. Now, Africa is a ripe ground for that. They are trying to develop Africa, but it is going to take an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of time. There's no shortcut here. I agree with this 100%, Imran Ali. If they do a rule change, this is, wow, brilliant, actually. This is a fucking brilliant idea. I'm going to leave this up here for everybody. Brilliant, dude. A fucking brilliant idea. Brilliant. Bring back soccer kicks. There's never been an organization that was in a cage that did soccer kicks, right? You could do it in Pancrase and you could do it in Pride. And honestly, I don't understand, I mean, like, yeah, it's gnarly, but let's go, dude. Knees in the face while grounded, soccer kicks, change the rules. Give people a reason why they're going to watch it. Why are they watching this instead of UFC? Because it's not going to be due to talent initially. It needs to be for another reason. That's a brilliant idea, dude. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, yeah, 12-6 elbows. I mean, that's just such a dumb rule. It makes no, you guys know the story on how the 12-6 elbows thing happened? Did you guys know that happened? That happened because they had seen those early guys had seen the those like karate demonstrations. So they saw people going 12-6 and breaking bricks, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, geez, we can't have anyone that they could break a brick with a 12-6. We got to outlaw that." It's like, you fucking idiot. Okay, any of these guys could break a brick with from here, boop, they could break that brick. Dummies. Anakin, I've seen you ask this 1,000 times. So, Jesse on Fire, do you think that Jones and Fury could end up like Randy Couture versus James Toney with the same? Yes, of course. Of course. But I'll say this. Tyson Fury's training regiment is so simple, it's fucking unreal. His entire training comes down to this. Train, grappling, takedowns, and the ability to stand back up. Do not spend 1 minute on speed bag, doing pads, sparring, standing up, not 1 minute. Literally, not a minute. You could train, you train some defense on leg kicks, mix in some kind of offense that's not your hands just so that he doesn't see coming, some kind of knee up the middle, because good God, dude. If Jones shoots and Tyson Fury throws a knee up the middle, he might knock his head off of his spine. Reality is that Jon Jones is an enormous favorite in this fight. Of course. Enormous. But that has nothing to do with anything, like that has nothing to do with anything. What happens, this is all about what will sell, right? And the same way that Conor McGregor versus Mayweather was the biggest boxing event in history, except for Mayweather and Pacquiao, this will do numbers like that. This will do numbers like that. If I was going to get, if someone was like over under, how many buys does it do? I would say 2.8. I realize Mayweather and McGregor did 4.2, but I think that's a little bit different. But I think this does 2.8 million would be my guess. Or, it could be more. Tyson Fury in the octagon. I mean, come on, son. Come on. But, and again, I know I talked about this already, but just in case anyone is confused, this is wrong. This is just not correct, dude. Tyson Fury is not like other fighters, other boxers. He's not like them, dude. Because all your, like what you're saying, the reason why they were saying, the reason you just said it is Tyson Fury won't fight in mixed martial arts because he knows he'd get smashed. Wrong. He's a gypsy, dude. He's a gypsy who's never lost a fight. He's never lost a fight in his entire life. He's 6'9". Okay. He has trained. I mean, look, there's a video of Darren Till taking him down. Okay. Believe me, I'm not saying that he would win. I'm talking about his mentality. If you tell me that like Tyson Fury is not going to do a fight because he thinks it's a certainty that he's going to lose a fight, you're crazy, dude. That's just wrong. That's not correct. I would bet you anything you want that Tyson Fury, if things line up, listen, dude, trying to put fights together is incredibly challenging, as I've learned very recently. It's like, there's not like, it seems like this is simple. I mean, in UFC, they have everybody captured. Like they have everybody captured under contract. We have, what's up, my dude? Thank you for the super chat. I responded to you today. I don't know, unless you meant after that. You guys go check out Emmanuel. He's a savage LFA fighter and a badass. Thank you for the super chat. So I lost my train of thought. But that's what it is. That's what it is. I told you guys. And one last time for those of you guys who missed it, Dana's statement. We could talk all we want. Tyson can talk. Jon Jones can talk. I can talk. We can all talk. Let's do it. If Tyson is serious and he wants to do it, listen, I got Floyd Mayweather to fight Conor McGregor, and we paid Floyd. We got Floyd the number he wanted. If Tyson is serious and he wants to fight Jon Jones in UFC, let's start talking. And again, that's a 9-figure offer in case you're not reading between the lines there. That's a 9-figure offer because that's what they got. That's what they got Floyd Mayweather. And in addition to that, I will say again, if you think that this happened in the way that it looked, Tyson Fury just randomly said this thing about Jon Jones. Jon Jones didn't know that was coming, and then he randomly responded. And then Dana's like, hey guys, this is how, we could do it. This is how you build momentum for a fight. And UFC has every reason on earth. There's no fight they would rather do than this one. Not just because of how successful it'll be, but how the security that it will provide the UFC and the Francis situation. The Francis situation and PFL raising all this money is a risk to the UFC. However, it is a risk that if the UFC vanquishes, it will solidify them in their position forever. They have to demonstrate that no one can make real money outside of the octagon or outside of the UFC in any kind of consistent, dependable way. They're the only shop in town. And that's what it is. And that's why they will do anything to put this fight together. And I'm here for it, dude. Come on, dude. I love Francis. And Francis's team has won no matter what. They can't lose. They got the best deal ever. But in terms of the fight business, that's just one tiny battle of a much larger war. And if UFC can secure Tyson Fury and Jon Jones for UFC 300, that's them like dropping the bomb on Hiroshima, Anyway, I got to run. I love you guys. I got to go record my episode of The Big Hoax with the Osundairo brothers. Osundairo's from the Jussie Smollett thing that I do a podcast with every week. If you look on YouTube, look up The Big Hoax, Jesse on Fire, you will find it. It's on their page. And Bola Osundairo is a WBC Continental World Champion in boxing. He's a complete and total savage. He is going to be an absolutely enormous star, and you guys should go check it out. And we'll go from there. Love you guys. Peace.